Alright, y'all, welcome back. So, I had plans to stream a little bit more today, but just unexpected changes, you know? So, I wanted to return to Shin Megami Tensei because it's been almost 2 months, maybe a month or 2 months, so, you know, I'm kind of behind on that, and being a longer RPG, I should probably be putting in the work, doing more parts of it, you know, so I actually beat it. That, and I want to finish off Metroid Fusion, so that was the plans for today. I think we're probably just going to do this tonight, but we'll see. So yeah, it's time for some more reading the SCP Foundation Wiki, starting from number 51 tonight, and of course we always do a random one, so who knows what our random article is going to be. Hopefully it's not 17 offshoot pages, but yeah, we're doing this in sequential order. You know, it's kind of like a read-along experience and like a little bit of narrator, audiobook, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, we're going to be doing that tonight. And I always preface this just to keep the air flowing fresh, you know, spray a little lavender aerosol in here. I have my own personal music playlist playing in the background throughout this. So it's just my personal taste. It keeps me engaged, and also sometimes it fits whatever sort of story we're reading. But yeah, it's time to return to this, dude. Let's do it. So yeah, we're starting on 51. But yeah, as I said before, I like to do random ones, so enjoy this music from my playlist, and let's check out the random article first. Where is that again? Random SCP. Okay, we got 4433. Here's the page. God damn, this is big. Let's go ahead and read it. So yeah, it's been a hot minute since I've done this, too. Read the wiki. But that's fine. This is meant to be a very long series, so I'm not surprised there's a little bit of delay in between parts. It feels better. That's a little better music. Alright, 4433, item number 4433, object class Euclid. Special containment procedures, standard foundation cell network. Footnote 1. Currently, there is no reliable method of tracking or predicting calls made to landline numbers. Probes have been updated to detect phone conversations in which the words mother and country are spoken more than 15 times each over the span of 5 minutes. So, like, motherland and country? This is like a NSA thing? So, this will cause the network to issue an automatic alert to the security directors of the facility nearest to the phone affected, who will then dispatch response agents to determine if the case is legitimate. If so, the individual affected should be detained, interviewed, and held until 4433 stop making contact and the affected no longer shows a desire to make contact, at which point amnesticization, reconditioning, and release is encouraged but not required. As 44... I feel like the music's just too loud tonight. As 4433 have not been shown to manifest outside of 4433A, no physical containment procedures are necessary. The caption to the image says, "The real estate listing photo of 4433A taken November 1999. Let's go ahead and check out the image. So yeah, this is 4433A. Let's see if I can zoom in a bit. Of course, the keyboard's not working. When can I ever rely on this thing to work? Well, whatever, we'll leave it default then, I guess. It just looks like a typical house. I don't know what to say about it. If I had to take a guess, I'd say this is in like an upper-class town in Michigan or something. Just from looking at the land surrounding the house, it appears in the very far background on the right-hand side, lower right quadrant. There might be like a highway in the background. Maybe not. Definitely some sort of like tarmac or driving area though, for sure, and maybe like a hilly region. Just a very nice blue sky day. Very wispy clouds, almost invisible clouds, but yes, a very blue sky day. Typical grass, turf, might even be fake grass, but it looks real. Just nicely trimmed. Looks like somebody took a lawnmower to some parts of it and just chopped it up. But yeah, this is just a standard suburban home. If I had to place a price on this for where I live, Wisconsin, I'd say this is like a 100K to a 200K home. Very nice size, maybe like fits a nuclear family basically. I'd say like a very, very, very light blue on the trim to the siding of the house. It appears to be just that type of typical siding that is like a plastic, or maybe, I believe it's plastic. I don't know, I'm not a real estate appraiser. The roof is also made of common materials that looks just like common roof tile, very gray, slate-like. And yeah, the exterior of the house is very grayish blue, almost like a military gray. You know, it's got that slight blue tinge to it. Garage door, very typical. We got two sconces outside of the garage. I mean, what can I say? The house has like a bay window area for the den. Not full bay window. It's a triplicate window, but, you know, still looks very typical. We got some shrubbery outside of the front of the house. Appears there's a neighboring house right next to this house. Very, like, brownish brick texture. And yeah, just, again, like, tarmac, almost driveway with a, not matching walkway cutting through it. That's kind of weird. I feel like you don't really see that. Usually either the sidewalk cuts away into whatever the texture that the driveway is, or vice versa, but yeah, I feel like you see this less. Nice red door on the entrance. It looks like there's some side windows on the house's front door. Steps leading up into the house, just a small fence. Braces holding up the awning. Kind of weird, because I was saying this is a very typical house. This right here looks kind of like a submarine window. It's kind of like a neat little feature you wouldn't see on a common suburban home like this. Maybe like an extra $500 to $1,000 selling point on this home. Yeah, it appears maybe at some point there were like shutter windows on this home. If I had to take a guess, I'd say this is 1900s. like exactly maybe 130 years old or so. Yeah, wherever the shutter windows, exterior shutter windows, would be placed on the second floor here, it appears maybe it was removed and renovated. Whatever was in that spot previously was just painted red. Maybe for aesthetic, or maybe that's just an essential part of the house that couldn't be removed, so I figured they'd paint it on a remodel or something. Interestingly enough, too, another thing you don't see too often, I'm sure there's a window right over here. Nice little nook leading into the garage area. I could see maybe growing up in this house, being a teenager, I get bored of like sitting on the computer after the internet disconnected one day, and I just go like sit out there in that little nook, and my mom yells at me. Yeah, it's a standard nuclear family suburban home. They've even got like a nice young sapling of a tree out front. Looks like a smaller tree to the side of the house's exterior, a gutter leading out to the yard. I mean, what can you say about this except for it's a very standard home? The only other thing I kind of missed is, I guess, the garage has like an attic vent. And kind of odd design choice, but I guess this isn't too anomalous. Just a secondary leading into the tertiary leading into the quaternary roof design. Very bizarre, but again, not really anomalous. Or is it? I don't know. Maybe I need to consult a real estate appraiser on this. Maybe that never appears. Property containing 4433A is surrounded by a 3-meter chain link fence and under 24/7 video surveillance by no fewer than 5 C-class personnel with 4/4433 clearance stationed at Outpost 4433A. You don't really see C-class early on. Which is disguised as a water service station located 550 meters north of 4433A. Persons attempting to breach 4433A's perimeter fence or showing excessive interest in the property should be detained and interviewed with amnesticization and release possible, providing all information is determined to be secure. Description: 4433 is a collective designation for 5 sentient, anomalous humanoids which will target one subject at a given time in order to impersonate their family and convince them through both their vocal coercion and anomalous influence to come to 4433A, in which 4433 will manifest and further anomalous events will take place. Subjects targeted by and under the effect of 4433 will fail to perceive signs that the entities are anomalous at all stages of interaction. So yeah, like I said, definitely a home the size of a nuclear family. You got mom and dad, that's 1 and 2, and then son, daughter, daughter, son, or, you know, whatever other combination, 2.5 kids. 4433A is a 2-story home in blank, North Carolina, which appears to have been abandoned since 2001 after sustaining heavy fire damage. Realty records indicate that Samuel blank owned the house from 1999 until immediately prior to its abandonment. Though no legal records of an individual with this name exist in the North Carolina records, if entered without prior 4433 activity, the house is non-anomalous and can be explored normally. So you have to interact with the arbiters first if you want to have anomalies with this. Footnote 2, some documentation was recovered intact from 4433A. See Addendum 1 for details. If entered without prior 4433, if entered following request by 4433, the subject affected experiences fully realistic visual, auditory, tactile, olfactory, and gustatory hallucinations which effectively convince them that they are in a modern house with full utilities and amenities. To outside observers, 4433 are incorporeal humanoid figures visible only in infrared imaging and purportedly in peripheral vision. The affected subject perceives 4433 as normal humans who are close relatives. All subjects on record have claimed that 4 of them are named Jacob, Sam, Lindsay, and Karen. Footnote 3, also referred to as Mother by 4433.5. Karen's the mom, huh? Very fitting. Excuse me, my throat's a little tickly. I just ate, so it usually happens whenever I orate after eating. You know, it just takes like a good 15 minutes for my throat to catch up. It gets all sticky for some reason, and all clogged. Despite the fact that I'm not sick, it happens all the time. 4433-1 through 4433-4, respectively, Jacob, Sam, Lindsay, Karen, with the fifth 4433-5 realistically imitating a real relative. Odd. So I guess the fifth instantiation is more psychically aware or something? 5 is the only instance involved in phone communication. See addenda for details. 4433 also induced severe disruption of radio, radar, and microwave equipment within 10 to 13 kilometers of 4433A when present in the house. 4433 have never physically manifested anywhere other than the interior of 4433A, and only appear to manifest when a subject is present. If not removed from 4433A by Foundation intervention, subjects will intentionally remain in the house unaware that they have no sustenance or functioning plumbing and electrical service, and continuing daily activities as they would normally until expiring due to starvation, dehydration, or other environmental factors. This reminds me of something I saw on Reddit earlier today, this morning, where it was, somebody was talking about taking too much Benadryl and trying to trip. Just, like, reminds me of exactly that situation in my life. But, their description of it was, they picked up their phone after taking, like, 750 milligrams of Benadryl. Don't do that, by the way. That's, like, a dangerous dosage. And, yeah, so they start tripping, and then they think they're playing Clash of Clans on their phone for 30 minutes. And then their phone just evaporates from their eyes. It disappears. And then it turns out that the phone was, like, upstairs. They had never had their phone at all. So yeah, that just reminds me of, dude, do not take diphenhydramine recreationally. It'll fuck you up. Literally. It'll give you early onset Alzheimer's, dementia. But, yeah, when I was younger, I took a little too much diphenhydramine. And I ended up hallucinating that I was pouring myself a drink of rum and root beer, and what it really was a glass of black paint. I drank paint because of diphenhydramine. I remember waking up the next morning, I woke up at like noon the next day, and my friends were like, oh, Bren's up, like, is he okay? I'm like, oh, hey guys, what are you doing in my room? Hey. They're like, hey, you like drank black paint last night, and I'm like, what? What? So I go look in the bathroom, my teeth are covered in black paint. Yeah, don't do diphenhydramine, kids. Only if you have allergies or you need to fall asleep, and don't take too much. It'll fuck you up. Anyway, while 4433 appear capable of affecting any United States citizen, no cases have been noted outside of the United States or involving subjects born in other countries. Foundation-led testing and civilian incident records have indicated that a subject is more likely susceptible to 4433 influence if the subject was born between 1981 and 1995. Weird. Wow, are you saying that about my story? Yeah, it was fucked up. I only remember one thing from that night aside from the root beer. And it was, like hanging out with my friends in the living room. And I apparently, what they said I said was, am I gay? I don't know if I'm gay or not. I think I'm straight. I guess I was saying that in the bathroom to myself. This was when I was like 22, so I guess I was confused about my sexuality or something. I don't know. Who knows back then? A lot more comfy with myself now, that's for sure. That's all I remember, aside from thinking I was pouring root beer and rum. Yeah, it was fucking crazy. Effects are initiated when the subject receives a phone call from a restricted number. This number cannot be blocked and tracing is inconclusive. If the subject does not have a phone, the closest phone will be affected. Footnote 6. Including Foundation landlines, which should not be susceptible to outside interference. So very anomalous control of radio wave frequencies and whatnot. This will continue until 4433 are allowed to contact the subject. Allowing the subject to enter 4433A is the only proven method of preventing further activity from 4433 and the related chain of contact. Welcome to the stream, by the way. We're just doing some SCP Wiki tonight, so it's kind of like a read-along narration. Enjoy the story time. Subjects report they experience a sense of dread and obligation to answer despite unfamiliarity with the number, though will sometimes still insist that someone else answer the call. However, upon answering, the subject will engage in a short conversation during which they will address the speaker by the name of a real family member and later claim that asking about its identity is an invasion of privacy. What? Footnote 7. This exact phrasing was noted in all 34 tests conducted under Foundation supervision. Multiple, 13 confirmed, civilian eyewitness reports of unsupervised cases cited this as well. Wow, okay. So basically like 50 people have confirmed this. A notable difference from claims made prior to answering the call. The speaker has in most cases appeared to be privy to private information such as D-class subjects' incarceration or demotion history and some details of Foundation operations. So it's somewhat psychic or very good at intel. Throughout the call, the subject will be told that Mama needs them home. What the fuck? This exact phrasing was noted in all 34 tests conducted under Foundation supervision. Multiple 28 confirmed civilian eyewitness reports of unsupervised cases cited this as well, so greater than 50 this time, while also inciting disagreement. Despite this, subjects at this stage are defensive of 4433, referring to them as family and attempting to find reasonable explanations for their behavior. I'm going to take a guess, and this is a psychic SCP. Could be wrong though, could be intel based, could just be anomalous information. Referring to them as family and attempting to find reasonable explanations for their behavior. Following enough discussion with the 4433 instance, sometimes after additional phone calls have taken place, the subjects will invariably demand to visit 4433A. Not permitted to do this, 4433 will call the subject 6 to 12 times daily to request again that they visit 4433A, and the subject's panic and anxiety symptoms will exponentially worsen to the point of inducing pulmonary issues, culminating with anomalously induced heart failure within 4 to 7 days. Does fucking Light Yagami live in this house? 4433 can be contacted intentionally by returning a call from the call log on one of the devices originally targeted, despite the fact that this should not be possible on any cell network or landline due to the number's restricted status, which will yield no number. Wow, I'm fucking blind. Which will yield no answer, but will cause a new target to be selected from people present in the room where the call was made. Using this method for D-class testing is determined unnecessary and unproductive for both research and containment purposes, and is prohibited indefinitely as of 11/16/18. Footnote 9, edited by Dr. John Blanchard, EthCom Department of Human Resource Regulations, 11/16/18, 1340. 4433 autonomously target 34 to 40 subjects per year. Holy fuck. Addendum 1. The following handwritten documents were recovered from the room in 4433A that sustained the heaviest fire damage, other than in being mostly undamaged despite the condition of the room. The documents appear to be non-anomalous. No author is specified, though it is assumed to be 4433 based upon context. Saturday, December 1st, 2001. Illegible. What can I say? It's not a pretty start to the Christmas season in this neck of the woods. Lindsay and Jacob seem to have a difficult time understanding that if they're going to freeload off Sam without pulling their weight around here, they're going to be treated as freeloaders. They're both 16 at this point. I tell them that back in our day we were working our butts off at gas stations to pay for college at that age. Yeah, bullshit. Okay, boomer. I don't have to go into how kids these days are. It's the state of our country, I'm telling you. I figured they could at least tend the dishes and do their own laundry. Illegible. Thursday, December 6, 2001. Illegible. This week has only gotten worse. Sam and I really can't tolerate the state of this country. Everything has simply been worse and worse the past few months, and everyone is so tense. Sam had to fly out of ILM this morning, and everything felt so different there. It's times like this when my mother would have told me that we have to come together. One big human family and all that jazz. One big happy American family? Maybe. But people are nuts these days, and none of these kids want to earn a living. They just want to play on their computers and whine. Wow, maybe... I don't think this is 2001. I think this might be 2021. Sam was never about all that new culture. He prefers to keep himself and his blood family, and his work, of course. Keep to himself. Good work, honest work. Construction is hard work. I don't know how I feel, but it's getting to my head. I think something's getting to the kids when they're at school, too. Saturday, December 8th, 2001. These kids, Mother, these kids. Illegible. I'd take anyone else. If only God would send us down a little helper type to do the dirty work so that I can focus on raising these brats. Between listening to Sam yelling at the news every night and the kids yelling at each other, I think I'm going to strike through, blow up, unstrike through, panic, and Sam will have to calm me down again. That sounds like anxiety, alright. Sunday, December 9th, 2001. I can't bear it, I swear I cannot. I'm 45 years old now, Mother, 45, and Sam can't afford to get me nice facelifts and all those things that the women from my beach club keep getting. Just my skin versus all this stress and aging. The state of this country isn't helping the stress, I can promise you that. What kind of schooling will Jacob and Lindsay be going through these next few years? What is their education going to look like with everyone so wrapped up in their own fear? It's all too much for me, and I swear sometimes I want to burn this place to the ground. I wish I could be here for this family or for anyone, like you were, Mother. I wish I could be you, but I don't have anything going for me as far as getting used to change goes. Sam and I will both admit that. I'm not a people person. Addendum 2, Test Log. The following log has been selected and included as an example of typical 4433 activity. Full records may be requested from the Site 42 Information and Security Department by persons with 3 over 4433 clearance. Case 26, file created 9/20/18, 1530. Approved by A-1801. Footnote 10. Site 42, Director Radford. What the fuck? I don't know what's going on here. Footnote 11. I can't even view footnote... What? Dr. Atkins Johnson. Okay. Hold on, let me catch up to where I was. This is actually shorter than I thought it was, but it's still a pretty long article. I guess footnote 11, Dr. Atkins Johnson. I don't know what the fuck this is supposed to say. I must have some weird kerning issue going on. Names have been redacted or excluded where required. Let me see if I can zoom into this. Oh, now the keyboard works? No. Even zooming in doesn't fix the kerning. I don't know what it is. Transcript number 1, D1138 is equipped with B3689 cell phone. The device last contacted by 4433. 1138 is isolated in an interview room and instructed to dial the number. The phone rings for 20 seconds before disconnecting. The call is received 73 minutes later. Begin log 1643. 1138, hello? Break or is it done? No, we're still streaming. You might need to refresh or something? Are we just not uploading right now? What's going on? No, I'm getting 5.7 frames drop. Never mind, okay. You had me scared for a second. I was like, wait, am I not showing the capture? 1138, hello? 4433.5. From this point on, I'm just going to refer to 4433 instances as either A or 1 through 5. Just refreshed itself? Okay, good. 5. Dear, you tried to... Blank, dear, you tried to reach me? 1138. Aunt Jean? I thought Mom said you'd move out of the country. Are you... 5. Unintelligible. Country. Footnote 12. The speaker's voice distorts in tone and drops in pitch each time this word is spoken. The country. feel like we're back in Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, and this is just the boss all over again. This is like the boss's AI. To protect our country, Jack. Our country. Jack. The country. Defect to Russia. The country. Mother. The phone emits a low droning noise similar to the disconnected tone for 9 seconds. Welcome to the stream, by the way. I hope you're enjoying so far. 5. Unintelligible. The country. Speaking of which, dear, you tried to reach me? 11:38. Who's talking right now? Is this Aunt Jean? 5. It's me, blank. Don't act like you don't know me. I told you that you're mother, and I see everything you do. Footnote 13. The speaker's voice distorts in tone and drops in pitch each time this word is spoken. So yes, country and mother are the key words for this SCP for some reason. Sensitive information removed. You have to be kidding me, boy. We'd had a lot of hope for you. 11:38. How would you know about that? Aunt Jean, this is you, right? 5. Unintelligible. The phone emits a low droning noise for 5 seconds. 5. In this country. You should drop by the old house sometime and have a sit-down with us. I think you're not too old for a talking to. Unintelligible. Mother would want to see you. Thanksgiving is coming up soon. I hope you'll be ready for us. What is this link? Alright, I guess we'll check that out after this article. Is that John Cena? 11:38. I didn't know you lived with Mom now. 5. Mother lives with us. Mother has always lived with us. The phone emits a low droning noise for 5 seconds. 5. Unintelligible. Having a decent night even though your MSU Spartans finally lost. You know what, sometimes even the greatest have to take a fall occasionally. Shows character that you can lose and take it to the face, you know? Take it to the chin. Unintelligible. 5. Unintelligible. 11:38. What? Are you there? 5. Unintelligible. Out of this country. 11:38. I didn't hear what you said. 5. Well, dear, are you going to shape up and come visit us? There's plenty of room for you here. Thanksgiving is too far away. Just come any time. We're always ready for you. 11:38. Do you want me to come tonight? 5. Tonight? Oh, the news is on. Sam is going to be talking non-stop about the state of this country. Mother will be watching. You could be watching with us. You could see it. We could see you. 11:38. Sure. 5. Are you sassing me? Listen to me, boy. You come on down, but you're going to shape up your life for us, or you're not going to have much of a family anymore. I'll tell you that. Wow. Me IRL anytime I talk to my family. 11:38. Okay. Can you give me the address? I'll be there tonight. 5. Very well. Sensitive information removed. Come anytime tonight, dear. Anytime. D 1138 is instructed by C 51174 to ask the anomaly if it will speak to Foundation personnel. 1138 is uncooperative and states that he needs to listen to what it is saying. B 3689 documents the apparent anomalous influence resulting from speaking to 44335. Been doing Herblore for the last 2 hours? Damn, you're getting pretty high level in Herblore. I've just been doing crafting in old school RuneScape recently. But in terms of RuneScape 3, our homie in the grotto, Luigi, just hit 100 Herblore during double XP. Congratulations to him. Excuse me, my throat's really fucky right now. 1138. There are some people here who say they need to talk to you. Will you talk to them? Almost 80 mil total XP. Nice. I just hit, I think, I'm right on the cusp of 108 mil on my man. And then I'm almost 50 mil on the ultimate. The phone emits a low droning noise for 6 seconds. 5. No fellows like that. Mama don't like them white-collar men. Doing a shame unintelligible our country. Jack, our country. C51174 is instructed to take the phone from 1138. 51174, hello, are you willing to provide your name, location, and how you obtained this cell number? The phone emits a low droning noise for 20 seconds before the call disconnects. End log. This is fucking spooky. Analysis 5 appeared to have potential contextual knowledge of the Foundation. Further testing is needed. Post-test interview, begin log 1555. 3689. Can you identify the entity on the phone call? 1138. That's my mother's sister. 3689. Do you think the address it gave you is the correct one? 1138. I figured they moved. 3689. But did your aunt always talk to you like that? 1138. No, but what's it to you? She's family. RS3 Dan's game. Yeah, I don't really play RS3 anymore. I literally gave away my bank just the other week. I was just talking about him too, to Luigi, bro. I gave it to Luigi. Sometimes it be like that on this bitch of an earth. 3689. So you do indeed feel certain that the speaker was your aunt. 1138 appears irate. 1138. I said she's family. What more do you want? 3689. Okay, noted. What about Sam? The speaker mentioned a Sam. Do you have family by that name? 1138. All of them are my family. 3689. Care to elaborate? 1138 is silent. 3689. Alright. And why did you tell the speaker that you would meet at an off-site location tonight without our prior approval? 1138. I wasn't thinking. I was just thinking about the fact that she's family. 3689. Personnel records state that your real family lives in sensitive information removed, including the aunt you were supposedly talking to on the phone. What do you think is the explanation for this, or the fact that you made the call that triggered this activity from the entity you believe to be your aunt? 1138. That was my aunt on the phone. She's my family. Let me go visit her. 1138 is visibly agitated. 3689. What do you believe will come of visiting this location? Are you familiar at all with the address they gave you? 1138. I don't know. Just let me go talk to them. They're my family. I need to talk to them. 3689. Very well. We'll see if I can approve it. We'll see if we can approve it on log. Okay, transcript number 2. 1138 is transported to 4433A and permitted to enter the property, supervised by 51174 and C61266. This is the first test in which removal of the subject from A was attempted. Begin log 1643. 1138 waits on the porch of A and knocks thrice on the door. When there is no response, he enters. 51174 and 61266 follow him in. No light source is present inside the house, as the windows are boarded shut. C-Class personnel note that the smell of burning wood is present despite the fact that no fires are ongoing on the property. Thermal imaging indicates no furniture is present in the house. 1138. Aunt Jean, are you guys home? 51174. 1138, can you hear me? 1138 does not respond, instead walking forward and into the living room. 51174 notes 1 18 degrees Celsius humanoid figure descending rapidly down the stairs on all fours. What the fuck? It approaches 1138 and stands upright several centimeters from his face. 1138. Oh, you don't look a day older, would you look at that? And it smells great in here too, making turkey? This is fucking horrifying. 1138 walks into the kitchen. 51174 is instructed to turn his flashlight on. The 4433 instance appears to face him for a moment before following 1138 out of the room. 51174 notes that the floor is covered in at least 1 centimeter of soot and small debris, significantly compromising air quality when displaced. C-Class personnel follow 1138 in the anomaly. 1138, are they coming down? I'll set the table, I don't mean to be rude. 1138 proceeds into the dining room. 51174's flashlight remains trained on him as he leans over the intact end of the dilapidated table and makes a motion as if shaking a napkin. Over the next several minutes he walks back and forth between rooms as if carrying platters of food on his open palms, commenting about the smell of various dishes. Thermal imaging shows all 5 4433 instances are standing with their arms at their sides in a row that blocks off the kitchen and dining room from the rest of the house as this occurs. What the fuck? 1138, the whole family's here. 1138 seats himself at the table and places his palms into the soot covering its surface. 1138, who's going to say grace? Aunt Jean? Where's Aunt Jean? 1138 turns around. 51174 trains the camera on the stairs as the 5th 4433 instance approaches slowly. It appears to make a prolonged directional glance towards the camera as it passes the personnel and stands beside the table with its arms outstretched for several seconds. 11:38. Right, thank you, Aunt Jean. 11:38 proceeds to search for a fork underneath the ash covering the table. God, speaking of the Diphenhydramine trips, Jesus, this feels like it. He then uses it to pierce a small pile of burnt and rotted wood and place it in his mouth. He attempts to chew and swallow it for 15 seconds before coughing it out onto the floor. 11:38. Sorry, I don't know what's gotten into me. I must have eaten something bad before I came over. It's not your food doing it, I promise. After a short pause during which 3 of the instances turn to face 11:38 with one arm extended toward him, he turns around and walks back to the kitchen toward the sink. He turns the faucet handles and reaches into the sink, attempting to splash his face with a dry mixture of dirt, soot, and debris present in the sink. 11:38. Yep, that's better. Sorry about that. 11:38 seats himself at the table again and makes motions as if he is eating, but does not consume anything. This continues in silence for 12 minutes, interrupted only once when 11:38 remarks that he does, quote, not want to talk politics right now, unquote. What the fuck? Following this, he claims he is, quote, tending the dishes, unquote, over a 6-minute period as he walks between the sink and table repeatedly with hands outstretched. Don't clean a whole turkey pan and dishes for Thanksgiving in 6 minutes. This guy is a god-tier dishwasher. 11:38. Weird that we didn't drink anything with that, right? I'll be right back. 11:38 attempts to use the restroom. Due to the unsafe sanitation conditions of the restroom, Footnote 14. Following this test, cleanup was conducted and plumbing functions restored in this room, as it is the only restroom affected subjects will attempt to use. Okay. 61-266 is instructed to prevent 11:38 from entering the room and attempt to end the test early. 11:38 does not respond to physical stimuli until 61-266 lifts him off the ground. 11:38. Aunt Jean, someone's breaking into the house. 11:38 makes several unintelligible vocalizations. All 5 44-33 instances immediately face the 3 personnel and approach them with arms outstretched. 51-174 films 4 of them pursuing 61-266, and 11:38 as they head toward the front door. Though the instance he identifies as 5 stays behind, facing him and approaching him. He follows the other personnel, attempting to pass 5, which has turned to face the corner but has its arms outstretched at its sides. Once 51-174 has passed it, it turns around and runs toward him, but stops and retreats into the living room when 11:38 speaks. 11:38, don't take me out of here. They'll not be happy if I leave. Test supervisors instruct C-Class personnel to comply as specified. C-Class personnel exit 4433A. 11:38 is then observed remotely for the next 60 hours via night vision drone. Over this period, he continues verbally communicating with 4433 as if they are family members and he is a resident of the household. He becomes critically dehydrated after 48 hours and appears to start experiencing further delusions as his speech becomes unintelligible. However, he appears to still carry out household chore actions in their respective locations despite the lack of real materials, and he uses the downstairs I thought it said bathroom as his room. He uses the downstairs guest bedroom as his room, including sleeping on the burnt remains of the mattress. He develops a severe cough the following morning and expires shortly thereafter. 4433 cluster around his body for 90 seconds, following his death with her arms intertwined before dematerializing. 11:38's corpse was later determined to be non-anomalous. What the fuck was this one? Yeah, I don't know about the Intel version of this. Maybe this SCP, at least the 5 object, is capable of understanding human speech or something, or maybe learns Intel. I thought this was a psychic SCP, but this is just like fucking hallucinatory madness. My throat would be as dry as the Atacama Desert if I was reading all this. I love reading, so... And in grade school, I was always the kid that was happy to, read to the class. Or what's this link? Thanks for the link, by the way. Bing chillin'.
早上好，中国！现在我有冰淇淋，我很喜欢冰淇淋，但是速度与激情就比冰淇淋速度。
What? Is this not John Cena? Sorry, I'm not supposed to see him. What the fuck, 144k views? Wait, what? What is this? It must be... What? I guess this is like an advertisement? I don't know what the fuck to think about this. That was weird. Hey, thanks for that. Alright, so we read all of that page. It is? Okay, that makes sense. I was like, why the fuck would he do this otherwise? Like, I guess he could have, he could be, like, learning experientially Chinese or something, but other than that, I'm confused. Alright, this is O51. Item number O51, object class safe. Special containment procedures O51 and O51A are to be kept in a sealed containment facility. O51A is kept within a locked, climate-controlled document box with a viewing window to prevent degradation of its material. Any personnel, with the exception of pregnant or non-sterile female personnel who might not be aware of an early-stage pregnancy, may access O51 as long as a request is placed beforehand and cleared by site administration. Description: O51 is a 25 centimeter, 10 inches, parentheses, anatomically correct model of a human female, carved out of ivory with typically Asian features. Microscopic analysis shows that the head hair is human hair. The doll is jointed at the shoulders, hips, and knees. The, quote, stomach area of the doll is fully removable as a, quote, cap of ivory, exposing a detailed ribcage and organs, and a 2.5 centimeter, 1 inch, parentheses, ivory fetus connected to the main figure by a leather cord umbilicus. What the fuck? Like a realistic toy? When brought into the presence of a pregnant human female, O51 has various deleterious effects upon the pregnancy. I think I remember reading this one. Generally resulting in the miscarriage of the fetus. Reports include a gentle compulsion to handle the model, open its stomach cap, and take out the fetus. This results in nausea and cramping within 5 minutes, vaginal bleeding that begins as spotting, and may progress to hemorrhage within the next half hour, and miscarriage within 2 to 24 hours in most recorded cases. Medical records indicate that the aborted fetuses bear moderate to severe defects. Pregnancies carried to term after exposure to the model have resulted in severely deformed live births, including double blank deaths of the mothers and double blank infants terminated after birth by the delivering physician. See interview O51-1 below. Witnesses to these live births showed signs of severe emotional trauma that was alleviated after Foundation interviews. Be right back? Okay, thanks for dropping in the stream, homie. Witnesses to these live births showed signs of severe emotional trauma that was alleviated after Foundation interviews by administration of a Class A amnestic. O51A is a fragment of text on rice paper that was discovered with O51. Surviving text is written with plant-derived ink, test dated to the 12th century, and the characters have been identified as a known early dialect of Japanese. Translation reveals the text is part of a prayer or spell against, quote, demons that attack unborn babies. The incantation orders these forces or demons into the model instead of a pregnant woman and claims to trap them there. However, centuries have degraded the paper and ink so that the full incantation and instructions, if any, cannot be deciphered. So it's like a broken anti-curse totem or something? Addendum O51 and O51A were discovered in a box of early Japanese artifacts delivered anonymously to the Blank Museum in 1938. After 60 years and a number of incidents resulting from contact by female secretaries, researchers, and students, an agent on staff in the museum's archives learned of its properties and obtained it for Foundation study. Alright, and this is interview 051-1. Not too big. We'll go ahead and read it. Interview 051-1. Interviewed Dr. David Ehrenfeld. Interviewer Agent Blank. Forward, Dr. Ehrenfeld was the attending physician at the death of Martha R. Blank. Blank Museum, 02 January 1942. This interview was conducted off-site as Dr. Ehrenfeld was a resident of Blank Blank Nursing Facility. At the time of interview, he was 95 years old and physically infirm, though retaining most of his mental faculties. A Class A amnestic was administered after the interview. Begin log October _20 _. Interviewer, thank you for seeing me, Doctor. Dr. Ehrenfeld, you are welcome. I have outlived most people who would care to hear such stories. Then again, they surely would have thought I was telling lies or slipping into dementia. Speaking of dementia, bro, don't abuse diphenhydramine, you'll get dementia. Now, you may think the same, but at my age, I do not care. Thin laughter. Interviewer, can you tell me what you remember of the events of January 2nd, 1942? Ehrenfeld, it was an ugly day, cold and ugly. Blank can be a wonderful city sometimes, but winter is a bad season. It was late in the evening when my housekeeper told me I had been called. I was tired, but a birth is always a wonderful experience. I thought it would cheer me. Coughing, sound of the doctor sipping liquid. I had a nurse with me, but the girl never came back to my office that night. 15 minutes, perhaps, for the cab to reach the museum from my house? I'm not certain, but I think so. The doorman was waiting for me. He led me to the room where they had poor Mrs. R. laid out on a low table covered with some canvas ground cloths, I think, to make her more comfortable. Interviewer, what was her condition when you arrived? Ehrenfeld, thinking back now, I should have realized it was very bad. But I was young and had not much experience. She was quiet and only grunted with each contraction. She did not respond when I checked her vital signs and spoke to her. She did not even look at me. There was quite a bit of blood. A gush of it covered my hands as I reached down to begin helping her with the birth. The floor was slick with it underneath her, and the baby had not crowned yet. She was dilated well and the contractions were quite close together, and this made me fear she may be having a breech birth. I showed a calm face, though. I did not want to panic my nurse, or the researcher Dr. Merrill, who was nearby, a dignified older man. I believe I wanted to impress him. A pause, breathing sounds, more sipping. Interviewer, and then Doctor Ehrenfeld. I was concerned because of all the blood, that her life was in danger. I told her to push, and she was pushing. And my nurse helped her, putting downward pressure on the abdomen as I attempted to manually aid the infant's emergence. I will spare you the details of a breech birth procedure. It can be found in any obstetrics manual of the time. I probed blindly and felt... I thought it was a coil of the umbilicus, perhaps tangled around the baby's neck. Yeah, that was how I was born, believe it or not. I almost withdrew, thinking that an episiotomy was required, but she tore before I could proceed. There was more blood and the baby began to emerge into my hands. A pause. I had never seen such a thing. You're a researcher. Do you know much of the common cephalic birth defects? This was uncommon. I thought at first that the infant must be stillborn. Its flesh was gray and not the vernix-covered gray of a normal birth, but lifeless and degraded, the smell of decay. I recoiled, and the poor mother screamed on her last push, and the infant was delivered into my arms with a great rush of hemorrhage. Excuse me, choked on my own spit. The deformity, unspeakable. The thoracic cavity was completely open, the limbs. Interviewer, but it wasn't a stillbirth. Ehrenfeld. It looked at me. I heard the nurse above me beginning resuscitation attempts, then heard her gasp and falter as she saw what I held, gagging as the smell filled the room. I tried to drop the creature, but it clung to my hands. I felt my skin begin to blister and crack. Strange how clearly I can remember it. At my age, sometimes I cannot even remember what I had for dinner. The infant was almost double the length of a normal viable fetus at 8 months. Its lower body, segmented. Fitting cough. Coughing, almost choking. A pause of 2 minutes while the interviewer assists Dr. Ehrenfeld with a nearby oxygen mask. Interviewer, what did you do then? Dr. Ehrenfeld, it began to laugh, and I killed it. A pause. I broke its neck while it looked at me. Well, this is fucking scuffed. Interviewer, were there ever any questions or consequences? Ehrenfeld, thin laughter. In 1942, with the country at war, and the two respected professional men to give their testimony, no, the museum building had a furnace. I disposed of the infant's body myself. We claimed some more normal defect had taken the lives of the mother and child. The husband was a drunkard and cared for nothing but her life insurance policy. I believe he was drafted shortly thereafter and died somewhere in France. And I left my practice almost immediately. I never delivered another child. Unlocked. Closing statement. Dr. Ehrenfeld expired 4 months later of pneumonia. He was only living to tell the story, I guess. Alright, let's move on to O52. Wow, that's loading in really fucking slow. Alright, the image caption just says O52. It appears to just be a typical subway terminal. The train car says 100. I'm assuming that's just the numeral of the train car. Requisite the entire train? Who knows? But yes, the number 100 can be seen, and it does appear to be a typical subway train. It is a very brass, brownish yellow color to the image. I don't know if that's just the ambient lighting or an anomalous effect here. There is a little bit of blur going on with the image too. You can see slightly here on the 100. I guess that could be design too of the image, but it does appear, looking at the rivets on the train, that there's somewhat of a circular blur, so maybe just a little bit of camera shake on this picture. But yeah, it appears to be somewhat of an older subway train car. What really tells me that is the seating, the lighting, the poles, and also whatever this is on the exterior of this part of the cabin. It just appears to be an old-timey, maybe even wooden. I doubt that, but maybe wood attached to a more, military-grade, just fold sheets of metal type of train. This is probably a standard New York train on like an older subway line, and probably taken care of very decently. But yeah, there's not much to glean here, aside from a typical subway image. Item number O52, Object Class Euclid, Special Containment Procedures. Although it's not possible to remove O52 from the New York City subway system, case in point, its predictable behavior allows the Foundation to prevent the public from encountering it. I think I know exactly what this is. The 59th Street ABCD station is to be closed to the public from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. on Saturdays and Sundays under the pretext of track maintenance. During that time, the station is to be staffed with agents from Mobile Task Force Gamma 6. Agents have been ordered to prevent accidental public access to the station and to capture anyone seen leaving O52. Anyone who has been on O52 must be transported to Site 21 for debriefing and processing. Members of the public who see O52 may be released after the administration of a Class B amnestic. I think this is the time paradox train. Description: O52 is a Type R4 New York City subway train. Official records indicate this train was built in 1932 and decommissioned for scrap in 1975. Nevertheless, it continues to appear on the Uptown AD track at the 59th Street and 8th Avenue station at 11:57 p.m. every Saturday. The train is in perfect condition and labeled as an A train. O52 appears at the designated time, opens its doors to accept/discharge passengers for approximately 5 minutes, then closes its doors and disappears. It does not appear to ever contain passengers, except for those leaving the train during its appearance. The majority of subjects that have boarded O52 have not been recovered. Passengers leaving O52 claim to have boarded on various dates from 1976 up to 2204. The latter claims he thought O52 was a 300th anniversary special train. Subjects retain no knowledge of time on board. Addendum, passengers leaving O52 must be brought to Site 21 and interrogated to determine their origin and possible threat to the current time stream. Generally, passengers from the past may be given Class A amnestics and reintegrated into society. Passengers from the future must be held indefinitely. See Order 69A1 from 059. Site 21 currently holds 26 recovered passengers. So yes, this is a temporal anomaly. Despite our protocols to prevent public access, we are still receiving subjects from the future. Although some are from alternate timelines, it is possible O52 will begin to appear at another time/place, requiring expanded containment. The Foundation has placed several subjects onto the train in an attempt to understand its activities when not visible. Test 0521, May 31st, 2009. Agent Blank placed on train, not recovered as of present date. Test 0522, June 6, 2009. Agent Blank enters train, not recovered, as he apparently returned to 1980 and was killed in a confrontation with Redacted. Interesting. So yes, it does seem to go in different directions in time as well. Test 0523, see notes on recovered passenger 0524. After test 0523, O5 Command issued orders that no further agents should be risked as passengers on 052. Consideration has been given to using Class D personnel in their place, but the risk of releasing them into the past is too great. Log of recovered passengers in Foundation custody. Passenger 0521 entered train July 14th. God, I cannot fucking read, bro. Passenger 0521 entered train July 14th, 2012, recovered March 8th, 2008. Notes: an accountant on the way home from the theater when she entered the train, 0521 has expressed surprise and dismay to have traveled back in time 4 years, but appears to be otherwise unchanged and unharmed. She's been determined to currently exist in this timeline and must be held indefinitely to prevent unwanted temporal effects. Okay, yeah, don't let her run back on the train again, unless we have infinite copies of this lady. Passenger 0522 entered train June 12, 1976. Recovered March 15th, 2008. Notes: subject entered train when lost on the way to Studio 54. Although unharmed and not a temporal threat, 0522 is being held as the examining psychiatrist believes 32 years is too long a period over which to facilitate successful reintegration. Really? Okay, I guess. It didn't even have smartphones in 2008, basically. It's like iPhone 2 era. Passenger 0523 entered train December 6, 2014, recovered June 20th, 2009. Notes: a tourist from Jacksonville, Florida. Subject 0523 now speaks Albanian instead of English. Held due to 05 orders, subjects from the future, as well as possible reintegration difficulties. Yeah, this guy's gonna invest in the stock market. 0524 entered train June 13, 2009, recovered June 27, 2009. Notes: Agent Blank from test 0523. Agent returned with his hand surgically removed and a note in his pocket with the message, "Send no more." Subject does not remember his experience on the train, but when subjected to hypnosis revealed data expunged. Okay. 0525, Agent Blank entered train at unknown future date in violation of protocol. On July 11, 2009, body of subject was violently thrown from the train, landing 10 meters away. On examination, subject was found to have been data expunged. Whether security should be increased to prevent subject from entering 052 is under consideration. 0526, Blank claims to be a level 4 supervisor from the, quote, SCP Federation, who entered the train in December 2124. Subject had been administered a Class A Prime amnestic prior to boarding, in a successful attempt to avoid the fate of passengers 0524 and 0525. Recovered February 6, 2010. As he will never be released from Foundation custody, 05 Command has approved sharing otherwise classified information about other artifacts in our possession in hopes of gaining new methods of containment and becoming aware of future security breaches. Agent Blank has been cooperative and claims dash that it is good that we do not know how to open SCP-69-9. Subject turned visibly pale and refused to discuss this item further. Dash to be a survivor of the, quote, great zombie plague of 2092 caused by an SCP-008 containment breach. Fucking weird. Hyphen, that SCP triple blank can be killed by data expunged with a data expunged and SCP triple blank. Permission to try this has been denied by 05 single blank. Dash, that he worked for Dr. Jack Bright. Your circuit's dead, there's something wrong. What the fuck is 699? Major Tom. I'm not gonna read this. There's the whole page. Holy fucking shit. Sure, this is like a time travel story. 699. I'm gonna skip this one. Sentient telepathic temporal. Okay. Sounds fucking scary. Alright, 053. There's the page for 053. Let's read this. Item number 053, object class Euclid. Special containment procedures. 053 is to be contained in an area no less than 5 meters by 5 meters, parentheses 16 feet by 16 feet, and given adequate room to move. Toys, books, games, and other recreational devices are to be amply provided and rotated every 3 months. Proper bedding, bathroom, and medical facilities are to be maintained at all times. Food should be provided 3 times daily, and 2 snacks are allowed if requested. No physical contact is to be made with 053 without full atmosphere containment suit and eye shield. No eye contact is to be made with 053 for any reason. Any objects given to personnel by 053 may be removed, but must be given to quarantine for examination. Only one member of personnel may be present in the room at any given time, and must be secured by a safety line of steel cable. All personnel must be removed from 053's containment chamber within 10 minutes of entering. Any personnel who begin to act erratically, scream, or attempt to grab 053 are to be removed and quarantined. Any personnel attempting to remove their suit are also to be removed and quarantined. No sharp objects or firearms are allowed in 053's containment room. Description: 053 appears to be a small 3-year-old girl. She is capable of basic speech and appears to be slightly above average in mental development. She has a generally pleasant personality and rarely seems upset, becoming agitated only in the presence of groups of people. Any and all humans over the age of 3 who make eye contact with, physically touch, or remain around 053 for longer than 10 minutes will rapidly become irrational, paranoid, and homicidal. This links to SCP-1129. What the fuck? Okay, well there's the page for 1129. Most, if not all, of these feelings will be directed at 053, and afflicted subjects will attempt to kill 053 after first killing or driving off all humans visible to them. This is fucked up. Those attempting to kill 053 will suffer massive heart attacks or seizures and die seconds after doing any physical damage to 053. 053 will regenerate almost instantaneously from any wound, regardless of severity. So this is like the idea of, invincible kids or whatever. You know, what's the term? Kids made out of Nintendium or whatever. She's probably so psychically aware that she never is capable of dying or growing old or anything. 053 appears wholly ignorant of these effects and ignores any and all subjects affected. It's the opposite. She nopes everything. When questioned about the effect, 053 is incapable of response. Yeah, it's like psychic denial. That's also a type of psychic strength. Psychic knowledge and psychic denial, for sure. Alright, here's the page for 054. Item number 054, object class safe, special containment procedures. Subject is held in a watertight isolation room outfitted with special climate control equipment. An ornate fountain filled with water stands in the center of the enclosure. Maintenance personnel are required to wear NBC suits while inside the containment area and must spend 10 minutes in a special drying room after exiting. In the event of a breach, the surrounding area should be evacuated and the enclosure flushed with liquid nitrogen. The fountain's chemical levels and volume are to be monitored and maintained. Spring water from blank should be used as O54 is highly sensitive to hydrological conditions. O54 has developed a mistrust for human males during its confinement, thus assignment of female personnel is recommended. Description: out of the water, the subject most often appears as a female humanoid with a mean volume of 90 liters comprised entirely of water. Okay, so they're saying outside of the water. Okay, I see. Other forms are possible, commonly geometric shapes. When it enters a body of water, it becomes indistinguishable from its surroundings. Was this like a slime lady? The subject must periodically return to a body of water in order to maintain its volume due to evaporation. Initially found in blank, it was moved to Site 8 for further study. Subject was initially curious about Foundation personnel and seemed to enjoy interacting with maintenance staff and researchers mimicking their forms. After a number of weeks, the creature apparently felt comfortable enough to remain out of water during routine monitoring, though it retreated when attempts were made to study its composition. O54 is apparently composed of normal water with no detectable differences compared to ordinary spring water from the same source. No thermal, electromagnetic, biological, or any phenomenon has ever been detected in its, quote, body that would suggest how it animates. Water lost by O54 to evaporation exhibits no special properties when condensed. It's just sentient fluid. Experiments with O54 were halted during... God, I can't fucking read tonight. Experiments with O54 were halted following data expunged. 2 researchers injured. After this incident, containment protocols were updated. Subject thereafter exhibited signs of mistrust and aggression around male personnel, which made up the majority of the original research staff. Subject reclassified Euclid. Yeah, it was probably some pervert, fucking weeb, trying to have sex with a TFW no slime waifu GF. Partial transcripts, audio journal O54A. Water loss experiment. Subject becomes withdrawn and inactive when denied access to water. Its compact shape is theorized to reduce surface area exposed to evaporation. For the first few days, it moved eagerly to greet anyone entering its enclosure and behaved excitably. Possibly indicates an understanding by the subject that we control its access to water supplies. Subject ceased this behavior yesterday, presumably in recognition that no help was forthcoming. Temperature extremes testing. We got authorization to attempt sub-zero testing this morning. The subject became lethargic as the temperature fell and froze completely after blank. Spectroscopy of the ice crystal revealed no abnormalities. Ice chips were collected for study. This is in stark contrast to its behavior in the 95-degree tests, when it became aggressive and attempted to escape its enclosure. Well, yeah, you're probably fucking vaporizing it. We've submitted a work order to combine the climate control equipment with the subject's standard enclosure, as it has begun to resist efforts to transport it to experimental chambers with increasingly desperate behavior. Memory and conditioning evaluation. Subject has proven unexpectedly adept at navigating complex mazes and solving puzzles. Dr. Seskel has finally overcome the problem of motivating the subject by the application of electrical shocks and/or silica desiccants. Oh, that's sad. He joked that we should have it trained to fetch in no time, and after observing his methods, I think he might be right. Note: subject to be allowed with a 48-hour recuperation period. It seemed to be lagging in its progress at the end of the week's experiments. Acid-base incorporation experiment last log entry. I'm starting with a 0.5 m HCl solution. I have no idea what will happen, but if this thing incorporates homeostatic mechanisms like I suspect, then we should get some insight into how it maintains its form. Temperature in the enclosure has been lowered to 278 Kelvin to help control 54's increasingly erratic behavior. Addendum O54B, after 5 years with no incidents, subject rating has been downgraded to safe on recommendation of Dr. Blank. Experiments will resume under the auspices of Biology Unit E7. Caution should still be exercised when interacting with subject. Okay, so it's probably just coincidence, like some guy actually tried to fuck slime waifu. Probably doesn't even hate men or anything, just some dumbass researcher fucked up. Alright, O55. Object class Keither, special containment procedures. Object is kept within a 5 parentheses 5 by 5 parentheses 5 by 2.5 parentheses 2.5 meter square room constructed of cement, parentheses 50 parentheses 50 centimeter thickness, with a Faraday cage surrounding the cement walls. Access is via a heavy containment door measuring 2 parentheses 2 by 2.5 parentheses 2.5 meters, constructed on bearings to ensure door closes and locks automatically unless held open deliberately. Security guards are not to be posted outside of O55's room. It is further advised that all personnel maintaining or studying other SCP objects in the vicinity try to maintain a distance of at least 50 meters from the geometric center of the room, as long as this is reasonably practical. Just taking a drink really quick. Description: O55 is a, quote, self-keeping secret or, quote, anti-meme. Information about O55's physical appearance, as well as its nature, behavior, and origins is self-classifying. To clarify, how Site-19 originally acquired O55 is unknown. When O55 was obtained and by whom is unknown. O55's physical appearance is unknown. It is not indescribable or invisible. Individuals are perfectly capable of entering O55's container and observing it, taking mental or written notes, making sketches, taking photographs, and even making audio/video recordings. An extensive log of such observations is on file. However, information about O55's physical appearance leaks out of a human mind soon after such an observation. Individuals tasked with describing O55 afterwards find their minds wandering and lose interest in the task. Individuals tasked with sketching a copy of a photograph of O55 are unable to remember what the photograph looks like, as are researchers overseeing these tests. Security personnel who have observed O55 via closed-circuit television cameras emerge after a full shift exhausted and effectively amnesiac about the events of the previous hours. So I think this is the very first SCP article I've ever read. If this is what I'm thinking of, I believe I discovered this through 4chan years and years ago. Like, goddamn, probably 2008 or something. And I just remember being blown away and thinking SCP was scary. Which, fair enough, some of these are pretty scary. Who authorized the construction of O55's containment room, why it was constructed in this way, or what the purpose of the described containment procedures may be are all unknown. Despite O55's container being easily accessible, all personnel at Site-19 claim no knowledge of O55's existence when challenged. All of these facts are periodically rediscovered, usually by chance readers of this file, causing a great deal of alarm. This state of concern lasts minutes at most before the matter is simply forgotten about. Hey, speaking of that, dude, I probably immediately forgot about this after I read it. Again, after discovering it on 4chan or wherever. A great deal of scientific data has been recorded from O55 but cannot be studied. At least one attempt has been made to destroy O55 or possibly move it from containment at Site-19 to another site, meeting failure for reasons unknown. O55 may present a major physical threat, and indeed may have killed many hundreds of personnel, and we would not know it. Certainly it presents a gigantic memetic/mental threat, hence its Keither classification. Well yeah, being an anti-meme, it definitely fits that category immediately. Document O55-1, an analysis of O55. The author puts forward the hypothesis that O55 was never formally acquired by blank blank, and is in fact an autonomous or remotely controlled agent inserted at Site-19 by an unidentified third party for one or all of the following purposes. To silently observe... Can't fucking talk today. To silently observe or interfere with activities at Site-19. To silently observe or interfere with activities at other SCP locations. To silently observe or interfere with activities of humanity worldwide. To silently observe or interfere with other SCP objects. To silently observe or interfere with blank. Like how these 5 dots really summarize quite a bit of the Foundation's goals. Number 3 there, interfere with activities of humanity worldwide. No action to counter any of these potential threats is suggested or indeed theoretically possible. Addendum A. Hey, if this thing really is an anti-meme, why doesn't the fact that it's an anti-meme get wiped? We must be wrong about that somehow. Wait a minute. What if we were to keep notes about what it isn't? Would we remember those? Bartholomew Hughes, NSA. So yeah, just gonna scroll back up really quick. This is part of the Anti-Memetics Division Hub, just recently released. QNTM made a full book of anti-memes, which you can find all of that for free on the SCP Wiki. But yeah, it's also for sale in ebook form and as a real book. Let's see. Let's see if I can find this really quick. I saw it on Reddit the other day and I was like, wow, I might even actually buy this. Can I find this anywhere? Watch, I'm gonna accidentally scroll into porn or something live on stream. There is no Anti-Memetics Division by QNTM. There it is. Apparently, geez, nearly a 5 full stars. But yeah, if you want to check out more SCP content, you can actually buy this book. Published August 8th, 2020, so about a year ago. Okay. Anyway, back to this. Document 0552. Report of Dr. John Marichek. Survey team number 19055 127BXC was successfully able to enter O55's container and ascertain the appearance and, to some degree, the nature of the object. Notes were taken according to the project methodology, see blank, after which the container was sealed again. Excerpt from a transcript of personnel debriefing follows. Dr. Hughes, okay, I'm gonna need to ask you some questions about number 55 now. I fucking love this track. I believe this is from, yeah, this is Phantasy Star Zero. Right whenever you start into the game, this is the first song you hear in-game, not like the title sequence. It's, for a DS game, it really is a full-featured Phantasy Star game. It always impresses me. Okay, I'm gonna need to ask you some questions about number 55 now. Blank, number what? Hughes. SCP Object 55, the object you just examined. Blank. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't think we have a 55. Hughes, okay then. Blank. I'd like you to tell me what you've been doing for the past 2 hours. Blank. What? Subject appears uncomfortable. I don't know. Dr. Hughes, okay then. Do you remember that we all agreed that it wasn't spherical? Blank. That what wasn't? Oh, right. It isn't round at all. Object 55 isn't round. Dr. Hughes, do you remember it now? Blank. Well, no. I mean, I don't know what it is, but I know there is one. It's something you can't remember, and it's not a sphere. Hughes, wait a minute. What's not a sphere? Object 55. So even, like, potentially outside of its room's influence, it is so anti-memetic it erases itself from minds as you talk about it. Blank, Object 55. Hughes, Object what? Blank, Doc, do you remember agreeing that something wasn't shaped like a sphere? Hughes, oh right. It appears to be possible to remember what O55 is not, negations of fact, and to repeatedly deduce its existence from these memories. Personnel interviewed in survey number 19055-127-BXC reported moderate levels of disorientation and psychological trauma associated with cycles of repeated memory and forgetfulness of 055. However, no long-term behavioral or health problems were observed, and psych assessments of survey personnel showed consistent reports of this distress fading over time. Recommendations: it may be worthwhile to post at least one staff member capable of remembering the existence of 055 to each critical site. Next, we need to talk about 55. So presumably, like I mentioned just a moment ago, this must be QNTM. This is probably the continuation of 055. Leads into introductory anti-memetics. So just like reading the entire 682 breakdown, we might read, what the fuck was it called? I just had it open. The meme. There's the anti-memetics division. There you go. Jesus. It's affecting me now. Even I can't fucking remember what it is. Good luck selling that book. People are gonna forget they even bought it. Okay, 056, number 056. Object class Euclid. Special containment procedures. 056 is to be kept in a room of its choosing with whatever furnishings it expresses desire for. Level 1 personnel and above may interact with 056 at any time they choose for a time length not exceeding 2 hours. The subject is to be guarded by a minimum of 3 security staff at all times, with shift changes every 4 hours. Each guard is to be armed with non-lethal tranquilizer pistols loaded with no less than 1,500 (1,500) microliters of cyclopyrrolone tranquilizer. Any irregularities in personnel and staff developed by extended exposure to 056 will result in psychological examination and relocation to site data expunged. This is cognito hazard, probably. Same with anti-memetics. That's big cognito hazard. Gonna go fucking insane trying to remember and explain remembering stuff to colleagues. The subject is to be allowed access to any object it desires, with the exceptions of weapons, communications devices, an internet connection, and other SCP objects. It may wander in research sector double-blank as it wills, but never allowed to access floors with exits. In the event of an emergency or if 056 becomes violent, it is to be subdued and contained within its room if possible. At no time should personnel attempt to harm 056. See Addendum 2B. Description: 056 is a being of variable size, gender, and appearance, which changes in response to the environment around it, especially in regards to living and sentient beings. Its most common form is of a handsome man in his middle 20s, dressed in a garb of similar appearance to that of the personnel guarding it, but of a higher quality and aesthetic value. Okay, like fucking fashion scientist clothes. However, it has been recorded as taking these forms. A large, well-groomed Labrador Retriever, when exposed to Dr. Blank Blank's dog. A woman of similar appearance to famous actress Scarlett Johansson when passing by a group of younger female staff. A female doctor in a white lab coat when speaking with various researchers. When asked to take an IQ test, the subject scored nearly 30 points, higher than the highest scoring researcher available. Okay, so quite intelligent. A male bodybuilder who was able to lift nearly 250 kilograms twice on a bench press machine in the sector's gym. This was 30 kilograms heavier than the strongest security guard's maximum at the time. A couch of extremely pleasing aesthetic value when left alone in the subject's room. These changes will generally occur the moment all people in the area lose focus on the subject, which occurs immediately upon exposure to a new object or person. See Addendum 3. Filming these changes has proved inconsequential, as viewing the tapes or feed suffer the same momentary confusion. I'm getting so pissed at how tongue-tied I am tonight. Clothing will also change during this time, although See? Case in point. Clothing will also change during this time, though 056 has yet to manifest any sort of tools or weapons. At one point in the future, I'm just gonna stumble over my tongue so many times consistently, I'm just gonna fucking scream. It is theoretically impossible to view 056's original or, quote, natural form. When left in an empty concrete cell and under closed-loop video surveillance, it took on the form of a higher quality camera and appeared to monitor the camera watching it. Further attempts to yield its natural form discovered that when alone, it had no readable life signs, including body temperature, heartbeat, or weight. It is assumed by researchers that it could not exist without any sort of perception. So perhaps even if nothing is observing it and it is in a blank state, it'll still exist, but like if all humanity ceased to exist, all life on Earth ceased to exist, all life in the universe, then it'd probably cease to exist as well. Personnel in contact with the subject often report feeling, quote, jealous or, quote, unsatisfied, yet will often give a great deal of both positive and negative attention to 056, which can be predicted by their personality types. Security staff will often claim that they wish to follow the subject's commands, even if they dislike it or its current form, while researchers in extended contact with it will often try to argue and verbally abuse it, which usually results in the subject sending them out in shame. So it's like a blown the fuck out SCP. No matter what you do, it's always gonna dab on you. 056 is quite capable of speech, and can apparently communicate in any language, verbal or not, and has shown fluency in over 200 dialects, including those invented by cryptographers and hobbyists. It frequently treats the staff around it with disdain, though is generally willing to do whatever is asked of it, so long as the inquiring does so in a submissive way. It expresses interest in magazines, fashion, automobiles, theoretical science, sports, and a multitude of other subjects, usually expressing greater knowledge and understanding of the topic than the person communicating with it. Personnel will generally become angry, disenchanted, or disgusted with 056 after speaking with it for great lengths of time, though they will try to speak with it again if possible. When questioned about other SCPs, it showed fear and occasionally hatred, and refused to speak about any of them, even objects classified as safe. This kind of gives me like Ubermensch vibes, except it's sort of like a changeling Ubermensch. Just ungodly overpowered, and looks down on everything. Additional subject was found to be working for the clothing design company Redacted after an unusual number of homicides, suicides, and mental breakdowns of other models when working around 056. When Class E personnel attempted to detain it, their mannerisms provoked it to change into what appeared to be the form of data expunged, resulting in the deaths of 17 agents and 10 civilians. So, presumably when it comes to combat, it is the greatest form as well. It probably morphs into whatever it needs to become to facilitate its death machine variant of itself. The incident was covered up by claiming an employee suffering from psychopathy brought a firearm to work and attacked other workers. Addendum 1. Those with level 4 or above clearance referred to Document 9560. Document 9560, audio recording of first encounter with 056, begin tape. Agent blank. Hey, listen up. Whatever you are, you're under arrest for murder. 056, no, go away. Clicking noises. Agent has drawn his weapon. Agent blank, you need to come with us right now. 056, you don't want to do that, you stupid little man. Expressions of surprise, presumably from onlookers. Agent blank, the fuck? It looks just like data expunged. Gunshots and screaming. Tape ends. Addendum 2A, see Document 9561. Document 9561, behavioral testing for 056. Testing procedures, data expunged. Addendum 2B, results 1, parentheses 1, Male Class D personnel armed with knife. Intent to harm subject. Subject appeared as a lean, fit man of approximately 20 years of age. Subject proceeded to disarm and kill personnel. So yeah, this is just the ubermensch of an adaptation, I think. 1 female Class D personnel bearing a bottle of fine wine. Intent to offer subject gift. Subject appeared as a beautiful woman, accepted the gift, and upon tasting, spit it back in the personnel's face before waving her away. Height of taste. 2 Class D personnel, both male and female, carrying nothing and intending nothing. Subject appeared as a beautiful woman in a well-tailored business suit. Examined both personnel, then dismissed them. 10 Class D personnel, all male, intending and carrying nothing. Subject appeared as a beautiful woman dressed in a low-cut red dress. After approximately 10 minutes, all personnel began showing signs of irritation, and 5 minutes later broke out in fighting. Subject waved them away after watching them for 7 minutes. Yeah, this thing is just like the changeling with the highest IQ possible, and also just, like, looks at your advantage, thwarts your advantage every single fucking time. 1 female level 4 personnel. Voted to be best looking woman on facility, carried nothing, intended nothing. Subject appeared as an extremely aesthetically pleasing woman and displayed a large lexicon and understanding of management skills. Spoke to personnel for nearly 90 minutes until personnel became infuriated and left the room. Addendum 3, note from Dr. Kenneth. I was recently informed that 056 has repeatedly requested access to the internet. When I asked 056 about this, it told me they were unable to provide it with enough sycophants, and that it wanted the whole world to know its face. Needless to say that its request was denied. What a fucking world domination, fucking self-obsessed pile of shit this thing is. Probably a good thing it's kept in containment. Okay, 057. Item number 057, object class safe. Special containment procedures. Site 57 has been constructed to facilitate 057 as relocation is not feasible. It is highly improbable that any outside knowledge of the artifact exists based on the circumstances of its discovery, and thus security is of minimal concern. No containment procedures are required other than the prevention of unauthorized access. All research will be delegated to Dr. Lewis and Dr. Walston unless further specified. Due to the irretrievability of those placed inside of 057, access will be granted with the approval of no fewer than 2 members of 05. Is this the old man that warps you into the pocket dimension? Description: 057 is a subterranean chamber with an approximate cylindrical height of 3 meters and a diameter of 18 meters. Artifact is comprised of impenetrable slate-colored stone. Inside the chamber are dozens of parallel piped monoliths extending from floor to ceiling that slide in various directions while 057 is in. I can't talk. Inside the chamber are dozens of parallelopiped monoliths extending from floor to ceiling that slide in various directions while 057 is active. And it was discovered several meters below blank on double blank, quadruple blank during the construction of a secure containment enclosure for SCP triple blank. Consequently, SCP triple blank was assigned an alternate location at site double blank. An entrance to the chamber is located on the northeast side. When a human enters, the door shuts and the walls inside the chamber move in such a way as to require the subject's constant attention to maintain a safe course through the artifact. The monoliths slowly open and close until the subject either surrenders or exhausts themselves, at which time 057 crushes them and reverts to its original inactive state after a period of approximately 20 seconds. This process lasts only as long as the subject inside 057 is alive and is proven to take days. Extended testing proposals to gauge the limits of the artifact have been discouraged. All tests on animals, machines, and cadavers have proven futile. Only a living, breathing human being is able to initiate this process upon entering 057. I just want to look this up really quick. Is this on Containment Breach or Secret Laboratory as the old man? No. Who knows what the fuck this is? What the fuck? Okay. This looks like Minecraft. Alright, Incident Report 0571. 0571. During the excavation of the artifact, a worker employed by the Foundation for the unearthing process entered the chamber without permission at roughly 12:57 a.m. on double blank, quadruple blank. Upon entering the artifact, the door shut and a dull rumble began to emanate from the chamber. Standard lockdown procedure was initiated and all personnel in the vicinity were evacuated. A remote-operated vehicle, ROV, was deployed in order to safely determine the cause of the event and to gauge any possible threat of 057. Aside from the rumbling noises produced during the event, no anomalous effects outside of the artifact were observed. At 4:32 a.m. the following day, 057 suddenly shut down and returned to its original state as the door shifted back into its open position. At 5:32 a.m. the area was declared safe and the excavation process was completed without further incident. The worker in question was never recovered. Experiment Log 0571. A controlled experiment for the purpose of exploring the interior of 057 was requested by Doctors Lewis and Walston on double blank, quadruple blank, and approved shortly thereafter by 05 Council. D-1021 was equipped with a radio able to send and receive transmissions to and from the doctors. Upon entering the chamber, the artifact behaved as expected, with the door abruptly shutting behind D-1021. The following is a transcript of the communication between Dr. Lewis, Dr. Walston, and 1021. 1021. Hey, you didn't tell me the door would close. Can you open it again? This place gives me the heebie-jeebies. Lewis. Negative. Please proceed as advised and describe your surroundings. 1021. Okay, well, there are a bunch of stone columns in here and they keep rearranging their positions. Walston. 1021, what is your status? 1021. Damn columns snuck up on me. They're moving around, arranging themselves so they pause. Walston. What is it? 1021. The columns behind me are closing up. The ones ahead of me are spreading out. I don't like this. Inaudible. Can't see the door anymore. Lewis. Stay calm. Move with the columns and you'll be fine. 1021. If I stand still, they'll crush me. I have to keep moving or they'll crush me. 17 seconds of silence. Sounds like a band name. How long am I gonna be in here? Walston. It'll be over soon. You're doing fine. Just keep moving. 1021. But what if I'm trapped in here? 1021 begins to hyperventilate. I'm trapped and they're gonna crush me and... Lewis. Hey, listen. Get a hold of yourself. The columns will eventually lead you to an exit. Please relax and continue. Subject calms down noticeably. 1021. So there's an exit? Thank God. I was scared there for a second that I'd never... Superfluous dialogue expunged. Walston. Yep, keep it up and you'll be right as rain. You're doing a great job. You'll have no trouble making parole once this is over. The experiment continues without incident for another 41 minutes. At this point, 1021 becomes noticeably distressed again. I'm getting noticeably distressed. Holy fuck. What's wrong with my tongue tonight? 1021. I saw how big this place is from the outside. Am I going in a circle? Lewis. Negative. Continue to proceed through the opening columns. You should find the exit. 1021. There is no fucking exit. You bastard sons of bitches trapped me in here and now I'm fucking trapped. Subject begins to hyperventilate again. Walston, you're not trapped, 1021. Continue to the exit or you will be forced to... Parentheses... What? Wait, where did the parentheses come from? 1021, forced to what? There's nothing you can do to me. I'm gonna fucking die. I'm gonna die. Lewis, D1021. Panicking will only exacerbate your situation. Focus. 1021 breaks into tears. He continues to cry for the next 2 hours as he makes his way through the columns and does not reply to any questions. Eventually the crying ceases. 1021. So this is it. Deep exhalation. I'm gonna die. I guess I'll just stop and close my eyes. Maybe it won't be so bad. Several minutes of silence. I can't. 1021 continues to repeat this for several minutes. Eventually he trails off and falls silent. Walston, 1021? 1021 stops in his tracks, breathing slowly but heavily. Faint sobbing is audible. Walston, 1021, proceed through the room as advised. 1021, 1021's gentle sobbing abruptly cuts off. Brief, loud cracking and snapping sounds are heard before the transmission is lost. Strangely, 1021 did not report any sightings of the remains of the excavation worker lost in Event 057-1. Accordingly, no efforts were made for the discovery of 1021's remains. As a result of this inconclusive data, reclassification of 057 to Euclid is pending. Well, that's fucking creepy. This is like some sort of human-only kill chamber. Very weird. Alright, we're almost done for the night. Just 3 more. What is up with my brain? I said parentheses when I tried to say D1021. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with me. Okay, 058, item number 058, object class Keter. Or Keter? You know, I've never thought of that until now. Well, rethought of it on stream. I always say Keter. Special containment procedures 058 is to be kept in isolation in a 5 meter by 5 meter by 5 meter containment chamber at all times. Walls are to be constructed of 3 meter, parentheses 10 feet, of reinforced heat-resistant steel backed with a further 10 meters, parentheses 33 feet of reinforced concrete. 058 is to be fed a live cow every 3 days. Maintenance is to be conducted every 60, parentheses 60 minutes, while 058 is dormant, and every 15, parentheses 15 minutes when 058 is active. Under no circumstances is 058 allowed out of its containment area. 058 is to be audio recorded at all times. No personnel are to listen to 058 for more than 30, parentheses 30 minutes at a time. This links to the Drooling Path Part 1. So here's the article. In case of escape, facility is to be considered compromised and detonation of on-site nuclear weaponry is to commence. To date, 058 has been responsible for the death of at least 149, parentheses 149, Class D personnel and 14, parentheses 14 agents at its current site. Description: 058 resembles a bovine heart with 4, parentheses 4 arthropod-like legs, used primarily for movement, and 4, parentheses 4 tentacles of adjustable length, covered with razor-sharp spines. It has a single sharp stinger on its rear, where the hole for the superior vena cava would be in a typical organ. 058's tentacles can be whipped to a distance of 3.2 meters, parentheses 10.5 feet, at speeds in excess of 320 kilometers per hour, parentheses 200 miles per hour. 058 is extremely hostile and will use every opportunity afforded to it to inflict damage on its surroundings. 058 has been shown to be highly resistant. God fucking damn! 058 has been shown to be highly resilient to trauma and should be approached with caution even when apparently incapacitated. O58 is highly mobile and capable of rapid movement on both horizontal and vertical surfaces. It has been recorded reaching a speed of approximately 90 kilometers per hour, 55 parentheses. This is like the worst stream of this so far. I am stumbling so much, and it's making me more mad than usual. It has been recorded reaching a speed of approximately 90 kilometers per hour, parentheses 55 miles per hour, in short bursts, covering distances of up to 200 meters, parentheses 656 feet, and has shown the ability to accelerate from 0 to 90 kilometers per hour, parentheses 55 miles per hour, in less than 2 seconds. This thing ain't fucking around. Yeah, this thing's a kill machine. This is like... If I didn't know this was an SCP object, I'd say it's like some Cthulhu motherfucker. It has been shown to use its tentacles for increased leverage and stability, as well as utilizing them to pull itself to other surfaces at high speeds. O58 speaks in a human voice, though no method of producing sound has been observed in its physiology. It speaks with a vocal tone and accent of an elderly British male, with a slight lisp and deep voice. O58 talks constantly regardless of conditions, even when attacking. O58's voice and pace of speech are unchanged. The speech of O58 lacks any detectable correlation to events, persons, or exterior locations involved with O58. See transcript of interviews O5804. Notes: O58 was first encountered at Site Double Blank as it came out of data expunged. So either this thing's a psychopath and it's just... like its internal monologue is just what it speaks at all times, regardless of its situation. But that precludes anything happening around it being affected to what it talks about, so it's probably just a fucking psychopath. That's the like lowest word I can associate with it. O58 was extremely hostile and appeared to be very agitated. Initially, O58 attacked Site Double Blank, which resulted in the death of Double Blank faculty and Double Blank agents. O58 went on to attack the nearby town of Blank, resulting in the death of over redacted citizens and the destruction of 70%, parentheses 70% of the surrounding buildings. Post-breach analysis determined a majority of the deaths are attributable to fire and fire-related injuries, resulting from a wide spread of stinger fluid by O58 from a large structure. What? Is also blamed for a majority of structural damage. Okay. Blank by O58 accounts for only 8% of total deaths, with major evidence data expunged. O58 was finally contained after being crushed and incapacitated by a large amount of masonry from a building that had collapsed on top of it. O58 was then extracted and transported to Blank by agents and MTF teams. O58 was contained at Blank for 3 weeks, during which it made minimal attempts to move, attributed both to physical damage and bloating from Blank during the initial breach incident. Testing during this period was limited, with O58 still maintaining a high threat level even in its impaired state. O58 breached containment on Double Blank, Quadruple Blank during an attempted transfer to an SCP containment site, causing multiple deaths and injuries. O58 was eventually incapacitated by Agent Blank, who managed to subdue O58 by running it over with an M1 tank, pinning it beneath the armored vehicle. What the fuck? O58 was subsequently secured and transported to Armed Biocontainment Area 14. Addendum. This links to SCP-1175. There you go. The SCP-1175 containment team has observed significant agitation in 1175-2 on a number of dates that coincide with prolonged breaches of O58's containment. Additionally, personnel assigned to AI 2471-GH2's maintenance. This links to 5742. have reported inexplicable heart palpitations during similar time frames. Investigation into possible connections is pending RISA approval. Transcript of interview 05804. 058. I had dreams of the Queen, wonders that lived inside the hearts of love and silent treatments of all the elderly that I knew were once whole. What the fuck? Is this like, is this thing like autofill? Just tap autofill on your smartphone? Johnston, what is your name? Dr. Johnston, that is. 058. I seek the revelations of all that the Holy told me. God, I cannot fucking talk. 058. I seek the revelations of all that the Holy told to the unwise in the dreams of cold embers in sunlight that fade across lakes of black blood and snakes that eat the loaves of children from lamb trees in autumn. What the fuck is this prose? Johnston, what is your name? 058. Endless suffering is the woe of ignorant men who never lack to seek the depth in their own hearts and only see the wealth of a poor world, suffering to flay its own back in knife wounds of silver and brutal gladness. What the fuck? This is like some Shakespearean level poetry. Johnston, where are you from? 058. The nightmare is a dream to the nameless slug that wanders across minefield in the remains of deer and kings. D067. This is some creepy ass D067 cuts off and is screaming. 058. Nightshade is shadows and all honest blinks that sort through the bile of newborn plagues. Instant warmth as a mother's milk in dreams before anything was ever evil. This is like a primal horror. I think my description earlier was very correct. This seems to be some sort of like Eldritch horror that just speaks its internal monologue, and it is just so uniquely insane that it is like woke. Just sounds like an angsty teenager. Yeah, go on Discord, find the teenager that's into poetry. Half of the shit that 058 is saying is something they'll say if they have depression or something. D067 continues screaming. Johnston, let him go. 058. In seconds, the sun is beating like drums, and all hearts eat the ear of noise. 067, screaming is cut short abruptly. 058. The sensual violence of lust is all the assurance you will ever need to know the worth of life. And log. What the fuck? I think this is like an Eldritch horror. I don't know what else to think of that. It reminds me of 682, but at least 682 seems to have some cognizance. Like its monologuing has some relevance to what's going on. 058 is just pure insanity. It might even be like a Beholder reference, who knows. Item number 059, Object Class Keter. Special Containment Procedures. A single specimen of 059 is kept at Site 11B inside a graded Z laminate shielding box composed of depleted uranium, tantalum, tin, steel, copper, and aluminum. Surrounding 059's containment box is a 7x7x7 meter area sealed as a level 4 biohazard area and surrounded by 3 centimeters of lead shielding. This area is to be sprayed daily with a solution of methyl isothiocyanate to prevent overgrowth of 0591. Personnel entering an 059 affected area are cautioned to wear appropriate biohazard protection as well as Type K59B radiation shielding. So they actually made Keter Class 59 specific beta radiation shielding specifically for this SCP object. They are to remain in the area for no more than 15 minutes, as the radiation shielding is only partially effective. 0591 infestations found in the wild should be contained by removing the 059 specimen responsible and incineration of all observed 0591. Large underground infestations are best neutralized by fuel-to-air thermobaric explosives. Additional specimens of 059 are not needed for experimentation and should be transported to Site 11B for incineration by plasma arc at 10,000 Kelvin. What the fuck? Okay. Description: O59 is a radioactive material of unknown origin, superficially resembling scheelite. A component of O59 is believed to originate in an alternate universe and to be responsible for its anomalous properties. In addition to alpha, beta, and gamma radiation, O59 specimens produce a previously unknown type of radiation, apparently unique to the object, tentatively designated delta radiation. Delta radiation is accompanied by Cherenkov radiation visible as a blue glow. I think, isn't, as of 2021, this proven to be a real thing? Or is delta radiation still not, like, a confirmed thing? That's right, I'm thinking of Star Trek. I knew it. I knew it was a Star Trek reference. Okay. Delta radiation is only partially contained by standard radiation shielding. The best results have been obtained using graded Z laminate shielding with an additional super dense metal layer. This reduces the effective range of delta radiation from approximately 20 meters to approximately 6 meters. When an area is exposed to delta radiation for more than 15 minutes, an unknown species of fungus, designated O591, begins to grow on any exposed surface. This fungus does not require any standard nutrition, but will die within 24 hours of removal from a delta radiation source. O591 is itself radioactive but does not emit delta radiation. However, if a critical mass, approximately double blank kilojaders... Kilojaders? What the fuck am I saying? However, if a critical mass, approximately double blank kilograms per meters cubed, of O591 is allowed to grow, delta radiation from an unknown source other than O59 will appear in the area, further supporting O591's growth. Interested readers may consult Dr. Blank for his theories of space-time stress and merger of alternate realities. Within 18 hours, the infected mass will become transparent and disappear, presumably into the universe that is the source of delta radiation. The process then continues with O591 infecting new material. O591 will infest both living beings and inanimate objects. Humans and animals infected with O591 become immune to the effects of ionizing radiation, but progressively merge with O591, and eventually have all tissues replaced by fungal growth. While generally non-violent, they will attempt to expose unaffected individuals to O59. O591 infections do not appear to be directly contagious, but only spread by contact with delta radiation. However, long-term exposure to O591 has not been adequately tested to rule out considering it a biohazard, as well as a known radiation hazard. Infected individuals still capable of communication describe seeing a world entirely covered with O591, where much of the surface is composed of O59. It is unclear whether this is a hallucination or a view into the source of O59. Infectees are generally pleased with their condition and often referred to being in the blue light of heaven. O591 is affected by most fungicides, but new growth will continue as long as O59 is present. Early stage O591 infection in humans may be treated with grisofulvin. However, the treatment is 90% likely to lead to death by radiation poisoning. Treated individuals lose their immunity to radiation and will already have absorbed a now lethal dose prior to treatment. Late-stage treatment should not be attempted, as too much tissue will already be converted to O591 data expunged. The remains of failed treatment should be kept out of range of O59, otherwise data expunged. O59 specimens have been discovered in 8 underground locations across a range of 5,000 kilometers. No pattern has emerged for their appearance. Specimens range from 1 to 10 kilograms in size and are not part of the normal rock formations in the areas where they have been found. Why do I feel like this is a reference to the Ice 12 object, the higher reality, lower dimensional Ice 12, whatever the fuck it was? Addendum, Dr. Blank has recorded and analyzed the patterns of radiation emitted by the contained O591 colony and believes O591 may be sapient in attempting to communicate via controlled emissions of radiation. Initial attempts to analyze this language reveal data expunged. So not only do we have delta radiation, which is a Star Trek reference in general, probably just some fictional sci-fi reference, but also one of the later Star Trek stories, later series, utilizes spore drives, so this could be a huge Star Trek reference, I'm not sure. I wouldn't be surprised if it's an entire reality just composed of fungoid, radiative organism that somehow bled through its reality. Who knows? Scp Number O60, Item Number O60, Object Class Keter, Special Containment Procedures. The grove which contains O60 is currently contained in a series of specially constructed greenhouses at Satellite Site 66060. Specimens are to be pruned regularly to keep it at a manageable size. Personnel are banned from smoking while within 5 kilometers of Satellite Site 66060. Personnel are to refrain from bringing lighters, matches, tasers, or any tool readily capable of starting a fire into Satellite Site 66060. O60 specimens are to be watered twice daily and checked weekly for dead plant matter and saplings. Dead matter and saplings are to be pruned, shredded, and composted properly in the dedicated facility on site. Afterwards, returned to O60's containment chamber. Something about this is making me think SCP Foundation would be a really good MMO. There's so many different rooms that could be made, so many different locations that could be featured, and so many different, like, quote-unquote skills that could be leveled. It's just making me think of, like, SCP Foundation-based farming. Fragments of O60 may not be moved off-site for any reason without explicit written permission from 2 or more Level 4 personnel. In the event of a breach by O60 Alpha, personnel are to enter lockdown mode and activate on-site fire suppression systems. Redundant on-site fire suppression systems have been installed throughout the site, including water and chemical retardants to be utilized in tandem in the event of a containment breach. Portable extinguishers are to be kept available at all times. The Foundation have like a fire chief that comes in and evaluates the fire extinguishers. O60 Alpha during Containment Chamber O60 Alpha 001 is a dedicated circular containment chamber designed to contain O60 Alpha during testing. This chamber is constructed of concrete with a 0.2 meter thick asbestos coating with a series of chimneys to allow for ventilation of heat during containment. The walls are fitted with 24 CO2 projectors, evenly spaced at 45-degree angles along the walls, and will activate in the presence of temperatures exceeding 200 degrees Celsius. 1 kilogram of O60 material is to be kept within Containment Chamber O60 Alpha 001 to be burned in the event of a breach. Description: O60 is a grove of 17 white oak trees, Quercus alba. The grove is spread across approximately 8 acres in rural northeastern Minnesota. A house on the property was demolished during the construction of Satellite Site 66060 after being combed by Foundation personnel for information regarding O60. See Addendum. When burned, O60 will produce an entity henceforth designated O60 Alpha. O60 Alpha appears to be an animate adult human skeleton. This links to 2263. Nice, Mr. Bones. Standing approximately 2.3 meters tall and surrounded by bright white flames, O60 Alpha initially burns at a temperature of approximately 1500 degrees Celsius, flux equals 2730 degrees Fahrenheit, or roughly 2730 degrees Fahrenheit, and will attempt to cause as much damage as possible when active. Burning as little as 20 grams of O60 will cause O60 Alpha to appear. What is this, like fucking Datora? Only one instance of O60 Alpha will appear at any time. It is theorized that O60 Alpha is a unique entity. O60 Alpha is extremely dangerous, having proven to be hostile and extremely intelligent. There's a base building game for SCP? Huh. That's kind of not surprising, seeing as how, like, what was it called? Theme Hospital? And, you know, just all those other building simulator games. Prison Architect, you name it. That's weird, though. I'll have to look at that. It appears to be a single recurring entity, showing a growing familiarity with Satellite Site 66060's layout over the course of several manifestations. When given the opportunity, it will throw itself bodily at flammable materials in an effort to cause damage and assault personnel with a focus on grappling and strangulation. What the fuck? Burning Skeleton is a grappler. Can't wait to use this one in my Street Fighter playthrough. Additionally, it is proven capable of running at speeds of up to 80 what the fuck? Additionally, it is proven capable of running at speeds of up to 80 kilometers per hour, parentheses 50 miles per hour, in short bursts and leaping approximately 5 meters from a running start. Due to the extreme temperatures produced by O60 Alpha during the initial stages of manifestation, along with its physical capabilities, it is capable of causing large, uncontrolled fires and widespread property damage if left unchecked. O60 Alpha appears to intentionally abort. God fucking damn! O60 Alpha appears to intentionally avoid burning instances of O60 when it becomes Alpha. I'm gonna fucking I'm not even gonna slap myself. I'm gonna go outside and ask someone to slap me. Because my tongue is falling out of my fucking mouth. Yeah, it's just so frustrating tonight. O60 Alpha appears to intentionally avoid burning instances of O60 when it becomes active. If O60 Alpha is introduced to a high amount of... what the fuck? If O60 Alpha is introduced to a high enough volume of water or other flame-retardant material over a short amount of time, it will begin to weaken to the point that it will collapse into dust. Collapse will occur suddenly with little warning. O60 Alpha will continue to pose a threat up until its collapse. The volume of suppressive material required to subdue O60 Alpha is markedly less than would be expected to quench a heat source of its intensity, with volumes of approximately 500 liters proving sufficient. Fuck! I don't know why I'm so pissed about it, too. Like, that's pissing me off even more. With volumes of approximately 500 liters proving sufficient, areas burned by O60 Alpha will begin to yield sapling instances of O60 over the following 4 to 6 weeks. Only one wave of sapling growth will follow any given containment breach. Said saplings are easily pulled and should be composted and supplied to O60's normal containment chambers. Additional information regarding O60: the property containing O60 contained a burned-out, secluded house upon Foundation acquisition. According to civilian sources, the house's previous owner was a Jonathan Corhill, who is reported to have been a somewhat solitary eccentric, with a tendency towards bitterness and nihilism. Mr. Corhill was reported as a missing person in late 1996, several months after having suddenly cut off all ties to family members and friends. The last person to have had contact with Jonathan Corhill was his brother Christopher via a telephone call. According to his brother, Corhill had developed an interest in the study of Victorian-era occultism. Furthermore, he reported that Jonathan Corhill had seemed normal up until the phone call, at which point he told Christopher never to contact him again. Later in the year, a mail carrier visited the home to deliver a notice of foreclosure, finding it instead as a burned-out shell. Examination showed that the fire began in the living room of the general vicinity of the fireplace, and is now assumed that O60 Alpha manifested within the house, while Corhill burned O60 in the fireplace. Considering O60 Alpha's nature, why the house was not entirely destroyed during the alleged manifestation is as of yet unknown. no human remains were found within the structure. Jonathan Corhill's whereabouts and whether he is dead or alive are currently unknown. So this could be many things. Maybe he's the inceptor of this, and the particular type of oak is just the result of his occult studies. You know, he was a nihilist, so he does have very active strength and that sort of thing. Although also nihilists probably don't really believe in that sort of thing often. So again, like we mentioned before with different types of psychic power, this type could be a type of source or sorcery. In which case maybe he obtained some of this O60 alpha root and burned it and maybe communed with the skeleton or something, and therefore part of his house was spared through the communal. Maybe he's the inceptor of it, so like I said, maybe he created this SCP object, who knows. But yeah, this is definitely some form of occult nihilism, definitely. Not just what is described in the article, but most likely some true occultism. But yeah, clearly I'm tired. I don't think I should be doing any more stream tonight. It's getting a little late. It's 12:21 at night, so, you know, we went for a solid 2 hours, did my due diligence on reading SCP Wiki tonight. I'm satisfied. I'm kind of done with myself right now with how pissed I am. I am getting... How pissed I am getting with myself, stumbling over my words. See, I'm doing it even just trying to, like, think and talk, not even read stuff. So yeah, clearly I need to take a break and, like, chill. I'm getting mad. Probably just because I'm hot or something, I don't know. But yeah, thanks for watching. That's been more of SCP Foundation Wiki. We'll be sure to check this out again soon, but like I said, I had planned on playing both more Super Metroid, more Metroid Fusion tonight, and also, what was it I said? What was the other game I planned on playing? I don't know, something else. But yeah, those plans fell through, so I guess it's just this tonight. You learned a thing or two? Well, that's good. Yeah, I have too, even though I know for a fact I've read at least the first 100 or so articles. I don't remember a lot of them, so it's kind of new for me too. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. And yeah, before you go, please drop a follow on the Twitch channel. And go click the About section, or I'm going to go ahead and link all the social medias in the chat. So go subscribe to the main edited videos YouTube channel. There's a new edited compilation video over there, so go check that out too. It's Schizophrenic Spider-Man, the Speeder trilogy. Fucking great. Enjoyed that. And yeah, go subscribe to the VOD Backup Archive channel as well. Go follow the Twitter, go join the Discord. If you're on YouTube, just click the About section, and you'll get all of those social media links as well. So again, drop a follow if you will, please. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.